And Weirdettes. I am Haunted. Today we're going to be working on the Calypso, which you see down here. I did some preliminary airbrushing on it to give it a little bit of a sheen, some highlights and such. We have also, I don't know if you noticed the shininess, but we also got a gloss coat on here. And there's a reason for that, because we're going to be doing the good old pen washing thing today using some multi-black. This is an enamel-based wash of some sort. I don't know because I don't read Japanese. But anyways, it does work really well. And because it's an enamel or a lacquer, I'm not sure which, it's one of the two, because it does not react with acrylics. So technically I really don't need the gloss coat, but it does make cleanup a little easier. So I went ahead and gloss coated it. But what's great about this is you can put some of this down and then use the thinner to wipe it up, and you can kind of feather it with a Q-tip and really make some great recess shading with it. But you can also do pen washing with it, which is what we're doing today. And because of this non-interaction, it makes cleanup a lot easier. So we'll just put a little solvent on a Q-tip and run around the edges if there's any that goes out of bounds. So yeah. Some of you may have been here when we first used this, and those that didn't, well, I'm going to show you a little trick for pouring out of a hard to get into bottle. You see there's no brush, there's no easy way to get that out. I mean, I could do it like this and it'd probably dribble everywhere, but I'm going to show you a trick that I use, and that's this. You use a metal length of tubing, like a screwdriver or whatever, put it up against the edge, and then let it run down like that. And that's all you do. So there's no mess on the bottle, and all you got to do is wipe off your screwdriver or whatever you use. That applies for anything that you have to pour out of a bottle, using that little pour it down a tube or a screwdriver or whatever. That will work just fine. So now we got that done. Let's go ahead and slap this on and get some thinner in there. And let me get over to the Wyrd page so I can see if there's any comments. Oh, not many comments today. Okay. I probably could do the same thing here with the thinner. But I'm just, well, I should have done the same thing with the thinner. See, you can just pour it all over your dash if you're not careful. So, or on a desk. Why don't I call it a dash? I'm in my car, folks. I'm painting in the car, so I'm working on the dash. It's my mobile painting unit. Okay. So once we have enough thinner in there to our liking, we'll go ahead and start putting in some of these lines. Let me make sure we got things where I want it. I think that will work. Okay, and with that, we'll just start working around our little model here. Now, you notice he's on a really small base. That was probably not the best idea. You see how that goes in there and just kind of fills the crevices, but doesn't really build up anywhere else? Yeah, that's that wonderful capillary action that you get with this stuff. And you can go in as heavy or as light as you want. I'll probably put a little bit more here in these joints. Down there around the foot. Right there. We'll do the same thing over here. Get out all up in there, those little gears there. Little line there. Follow this a bit. That's what I want. I want a nice deep shadow there. There we go. Hopefully you can see okay what we're doing here. It is a big model. I'll try to pull the camera back a little bit without getting too far away. Well, hopefully that will be all right for everybody. And if we can get done with all this, then we'll start cutting in some details and probably do some of the edging and such. But we're going to try and get the pin washing first. That's priority. I have got a hair on my brush. Good Lord. Where'd that come from? Cat. Were you on my desk last night? Hey, llama, a big sparkly model. Did you see one of the local guys? Yeah, I did. I think I actually mentioned that last time I was working on this guy. How are you doing, llama? Good to see you. Falling asleep? Well, that's not good. I mean, unless you're not at work, then it's probably okay. You see how this just kind of sucks into all those details, guys? This Mr. Hobby Black is multi-black is fantastic stuff. You do have to sometimes apply it heavier, multiple coats to get the intensity that you want. But it's really nice stuff. Definitely worth adding to your toolkit if you don't already have it. See, I wanted some intensity there in that shadow, so we hit it hard, and that should help. Okay, so we're just working our way around in all these recesses. Got a little too crazy on that one. That's okay. We can come back in and kind of finger erase that little bit. And what we can't get with the finger eraser, we'll get with a Q-tip soaked in some thinner later. So it's not a big deal. Now I know these tanks are painted blue here. I'm seriously considering, since they're probably like, you know, fuel tanks or oxygen tanks or something like that, that they should probably be a different color. Like, I don't know, rust orange or red. So I'm probably going to come back in and paint those a different color just to give it some variety too, because it is kind of, right now for sure, it's very monochrome looking. I mean, I'll be painting the hoses and stuff as well, which should bring out some extra detail, but it is kind of a little bit on the lacking side currently. So we'll work on fixing those things up. Again, get that little bit of armor there. Or whatever. I guess it's armor. I'm not sure, but I'd have to ask Dr. Bebe himself, or Bebe. Bebe. I don't know. Whatever that dude's name is. Wow, we got a lot going on there. Actually, roll right on down to the foot. It's okay. Again, because of the clear coat, it runs a little easier, but it makes cleanup better. We are not concerned too much. Okay. Make sure we get some in here on these arms as well. Or the little, not the arms, but the little mechanisms. Okay. The part. Come in here in line. Around that. I'm thinking we may need just a wee bit more intensity. We might put a little bit more multi-black in here. Give me just a second. We'll get that poured. Where's my screwdriver at? Screwdriver, here you are. A little more than I wanted, but that'll be fine. That'll get us that intensity. Sorry, that was brushes hitting the floor. Okay. So, get her stirred around a bit. That probably should help our intensity issue. Yeah, that's more like what I'm looking for. We just didn't have we had too much thinner. It could probably still be a little less intense, but, or I mean, a little more intense, but this is much closer to what we were looking for. Did I get your message? Or if you're talking about on Discord, I did. I replied back. See, I'm actually using it to shade this portion here, although they're probably going to end up painting that a different color, so probably doesn't mean a whole lot, but we're putting it there anyways, just in case we keep it blue. Get those little details there. Cat, you know I'm streaming, right? We don't need the noises from you today. Go see how those lines are actually filling in kind of on their own. It literally came around from the other side and filled this section in for the most part. It's pretty crazy how it does that. That capillary action. Even went up on the roof. You can see a little bit in there already. No kidding, no. Yeah, I know. It's kind of not one of my streams without him in it, but at the same time, I don't want him making these weird munching noises while we're streaming. That's just kind of gross. Now you see, I can go ahead and start making corrections on the fly. If I notice that something's offline a little bit, I can go ahead and correct it before we even get too far along, which that's always nice. Just have a little Q-tip handy and you're good to go, right? Right there, I got kind of out of sight, out of line. I'll just wipe that right on. That is where the clear coat does help. It does help clean up little mistakes like that. So always good to have it if you can. Okay. over here and get these little rivets. Like I said, we're probably going to be painting these tanks a different color, so I'm not really concerned about lining them right now. I want to get sure the hoses from them are lined, which they are, and underneath them are lined, which they are. So we're good there. Okay. Only thing I'm going to do now is reinforce some of these ankle lines, I think. Since we got that more intense color now, I'll lay that ankle line down a lot better. My hair is not cooperating with this camera today. It just keeps smacking it for some reason. It's Attack of the Hair Day. Like half a flock of seagulls hair got cut, so yeah, makes sense, right? Seagulls are vicious. So it makes sense the haircut would be vicious. All right, so get that line cut in there. This is all going to start to come together, I think, when we get the rest of the paint and the edging down. This is a very big, very what's the word I'm looking for? Cumbersome model to paint. Especially when you don't have it on the right size base. If I had it on 50 mil, it probably wouldn't be near as bad as it's being right now, having it on a little MDF 40 mil base. Okay, boy. Quiet, quiet, quiet. Hold on here. I think that is here. We need to get out of there. We have to get that once. Knife. Where's my knife? It's nowhere to be found, of course. Okay, we'll get it with the thinner then. Get it with the thinner or tweezers or something. We'll find a way to get that hair loose. Okay. So basically, I'm going to come in here and reinforce these corners just a wee bit more. These come together. And get these bolts as well. Okay. Now I'm not going to do anything on the inside here because this will be done up in OSL. So we're not concerned about what those look like right now. Okay. All right, that is all for that. I'm too far north, half off the screen. I'm sorry. Like I said, it's a very large model. It's hard to work with in this little bitty square. Okay. Now we can do a little bit of precise touch up with the brush. Let's see if I can get that little hair out of here now. Here we go. Finally got it. Okay, now I can put the wash back in there I wanted. Okay. So that bit is done. We're going to wait until that dries before we go and do any of the other cleanup. I just wanted to get that hair out of the way first. All right. Next thing, we're going to do a little bit of work with some black. So it's going to be going on these hoses back here. And I may have to make a few passes because of the gloss coat. It may not stick as well. It's a very smooth blue-gray base coat. The body is actually dark Reaper and then a little Fenrisian gray mixed in. And the legs are London gray or dark gray, London gray, and white. And with a, well, you can see it here, the dark Reaper on these little knee pads, but I only did it on the first one. But yeah, not directly on plastic. It's not a super colorful model. We'll be adding some pop to color here and there later, like with the fuel or oxygen tanks, whatever the hell those things are on top. But yeah, it is kind of, does look a little like it's a primered model or bare model. Ooh, almost dipped that in my thinner there. That would have not been good. Okay. Paint. I think I may paint some matte on these hoses because it's really hard to paint over that gloss right now. At least for the other ones. This one's almost done, but the other ones I may matte down manually before I go any further. Kind of makes me feel bad. You thought I was painting bare plastic, though. You can't tell I've got paint on there. Ooh, shiest. Got a little bit of black right there, and I didn't want that. That got it. I had to take a little bit of alcohol there and get that bit of paint up. Okay. Now we can go back to painting. So does anybody have any preferences for those fuel or air tanks? We want to do them orange, like orange brown, rusty, kind of, not rust, but like a kind of like a pumpkin color, or doing red, yellow. Anyone have any preferences? I'm kind of thinking I'm leaning on red, because it's not something a lot of people will do is red and blue. And even though this isn't blue directly, it is a blue gray. So, and it actually looks pretty good. Wouldn't think it, but blue and red can actually look pretty striking. Okay. We're going to have to paint that one black as well, so it's no big deal. We got that on there. honest, that was kind of one of the reasons why I hesitated doing this model on camera, because it is a lot of gray. I was afraid people might think it was just primer. But I hope as the details go down, people will understand it didn't. I think I'm going to get a smaller brush up in here. This one is nice, but it's a big brush. Not that I can't control where it puts paint. It's pretty precise for as big as it is, but it's just so wide it hits other things as it goes in. So has anybody seen the Netflix series of the month, the one that's got all the hype going on, the Squid Game? Pretty good. So for a Korean series, not too bad. Actually started watching another one, also Korean. This one was called Hotel de Luna, and at first it started out kind of good. It was kind of a what do you call it? It was supernatural kind of thing going on, and but it looks like it's devolving into a romance. I'm probably going to drop it, even though the rest of it seemed pretty cool. Your kids are taking over Netflix. Well, you can watch it on more than one device, and you can set up a kid's account and your account and keep them separate. Because I actually share my Netflix with my parents, and I have them their little account set up, and I'll occasionally throw movies in there I think they'll like and stuff like that. And, set up their Fire Stick so it would connect to it and all. Okay, so what are we doing with these tanks? I think I'm going to leave this blue the strap here blue, but I'm going to paint the tank around it. I think that's what I'm going to do. And since we didn't really get any feedback on them, I'm going to go with red. And when we do red, we almost always start with black red. We may run into the same problems we had before with the hoses as far as we're going to end up having to mat this down, I think. This is just not going to play nice with that gloss coat. The good thing is the ink is pretty well dry at this point. The multi-black is pretty well dry. So we can go ahead and start our cleanup process, mat this down, and then we should be able to paint normally at that point. So let's go ahead and get this going. We'll move our ink over here, thinner over here. Got a Q-tip. That one's been used. Let's get a new one. All right. So most of this will probably just need cleaning, like right around the ankles is mostly where we got problems. That one's too hairy. Let's go with another one. That one's not as hairy. Now I'm using Q-tips, and yeah, Q-tips can leave some stray hairs. It works best if you use name brand Q-tips, so don't go to the dollar store and use those. See how we've deleted that hard line there, and now we just have what's in the recess. And it took like zero work to do that. And this one in particular, ooh, that Q-tip's getting rough. Next one, next Q-tip. You haven't seen Squid Game yet? Watched a ton of Takeshi's Castle MXC growing up. How's it compare? The games are actually more, most of them are like kids games, or at least the first couple are. But they're deadly. And it's not much of a spoiler there. You're going to find that out quickly anyway. So it's good. I felt like they could have, I don't know, given the protagonist a little bit less of a bummer for an ending. It's still good. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I felt like they really, really just did him horribly wrong. Chipping yellow paint would be a good. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I did not see that one earlier. You're either on Facebook or YouTube, and I tend not to see that window as well. It's smaller on my screen. I'm sorry about that. It's an idea. I might do that. I think that rusty orange brown would be a better one, because it's this color scheme is very, very similar to my Infinity Yodam, and it's got those it's got these like O2 tanks or whatever on the back, and they're that kind of rusty brown or rusty orange brown, and it looks really good on them. I don't know if they'd want me showing off my Infinity model, but I'll show you guys if Kim is okay with it. Just wiping this ink up. And then we'll spray her down with some nice dull coat so we can start painting some details. Most of those harsh edges going, yeah. A little bit there. Okay, all right. Well then, in that case, let me grab it real quick. Get to it. All right. So yeah, similar colors. I mean, not exactly, but just to give you an idea. So it's a blue and a blue gray on it as well. Okay, and it's got that kind of rusty orange brown back here on it, and they really pop. So that might be a good option for those tanks on the Calypso, doing something like this color right here. Okay, so I think that's pretty well got my lining. A little bit more right here. This thing's a little dark. Too far down. Soften that up a bit. There we go. Now that leg got hit pretty hard. I'm not sure why it got so much shading. That should get her up, get her done. And now, like I said, we'll once we touch these last few up, we'll do a matte coat, and that will get the sheen off of it. Appreciate that, Kim. I actually have a vanilla Pano Army, and I have the oh god, what are they called? The ones that came with Code 1, the first box set. I can't remember what their sectoral is called, but I have the ones from the Code 1 box and the Beyond, or not Code 1, Calypso, that's it, which was made for Code 1. I have the Pano from it and Beyond and the Alpha and Beta pack, I think. But only the vanilla is painted right now in the Yodam. So I've got my Auxilla, my Orc, my Fusiliers, Father Knight, and stuff like that. Which that was all I played in N3 was vanilla Pano, and I actually never lost a game. I had a Fusilier make 15 saves in a game before, a single Fusilier. He was like the VIP, man. I don't know why the guy kept pouring orders into him, but I think he thought that he was my lieutenant because I kind of had him tucked away. and he poured all these orders into trying to kill the Fusilier. It's just like denied, rolled over and over. Okay, so we're going to put a little matte coat on this baby. And we should be able to start painting from there. Good news, everyone. I found my hobby knife finally. Okay. So now that you've seen the kind of orangey color, what do you think about that as for those tanks there? Okay. 1 second, get the glove on. No glove, no paint. Okay. That out of the way. So, just gonna come in here and do some matte varnishing. Oop, there is a hair. I don't want to varnish that in. Okay, I think it's out of there now. Ooh, we got a bad fog already. Let's see here. Now we're getting some coat down. This will mat that right up. I really hate spraying on stream, but unfortunately, I had to do it with this one. Those little droplets will dry nice and clear. Give it a second, see if that will dry on out, or matte on down, I mean. What I'm doing right now is just spraying a little air to dry it out quicker. Almost done. Sorry about that delay, guys. Okay. That should be dry enough now. We shouldn't have any problems laying down paint, hopefully. Let me get the tops of these O2 tanks just one more time. And that should be good. Okay. Like I said, normally I don't like to airbrush on stream because it gets loud and it seems less interactive. So my apologies for that. But it had to be done because apparently acrylics don't stick very well to gloss coat. I didn't know. I knew this, of course, but I thought, well, I can work around it. But no. Okay. So we'll come in here and open this tank a little bit here. Still a little bit of gloss in that claw, but that's not an area we're going to paint, so it's no big deal. Yeah, I mean, that gives it a nice little pop there. Have that little bit of color on top. I'm going to paint that hose black too, so it don't matter if I get on it. Okay. Again, apologies for having to use the airbrush, but this is one of those models, multiple stages, right? Gotta do what you do to get it done. I've got, like I said, I used to use the airbrush a lot, like all the time. And now I've almost gotten entirely away from it, other than for like primer and gloss coats, because I don't like using the airbrush on stream. And so it forced me to get back into doing things by brush. Now, like I said, on this particular model, I used airbrush just because it was so large. But it was funny because I had to kind of reteach myself how to work with airbrush because it's been so long. Always gotta stay in practice, folks. If you are good at one thing and you take a break from it for a while, don't be surprised when you go back to it and suddenly you don't know how to use it anymore. That old saying, if you don't use it, you lose it, is really, really true, especially when it comes to painting techniques. There is a hair there I'm going to have to get rid of with my tweezers, which are not on my desk. So if I take a break, I'll grab my tweezers and get rid of that hair. I gotta say, I'm not loving this color. I think this black red is a different formulation from my previous black red. It looks, I don't know if it's just because I'm going down thin over blue, but it looks washed out. Like it's got a lot of white in it. I remember it being a lot more intense, a lot darker. And it doesn't seem to have that same property anymore. Okay, there we go. Back painting that hose. Go back to using my big brush again for a little bit. It definitely got the paint in there better, I think. And little bitty one, just ain't got the belly for it. I'm probably gonna do some pigment brush streaks and stuff like that. So it won't be supremely clean, but it's not going to be like super chipped either because I did not do the pre-planning stages for chipping. I have done it before, but it's not one of my favorite things to do. I don't really like weathering models too much. I always prefer them to look kind of like they're off the showroom floor. I know it's unrealistic, but that's just the way I like them. But it took me a long time to ever put weathering powders down on a model. And the first one I did it on, funnily enough, was actually a chibi model. It was the Skillet 75. Oh God, what was her name? Patty Wrench, I think it was. She had a big wrench on her shoulder, and she was like the mechanic on an airship or something. And so I made this little diorama base for her out of all the styrene and stuff. And I figured, you know, airship, it might be old and rusty and stuff like that, and or oxidized. So that was the first one I actually tried weathering pigments on. Was a chibi model of all things. Now it is also going to be nowhere to say it will be in an epoxy resin base too, because we're going to be doing water effects on all the EBS models. So that is something to look forward to as well. May even, once I get the hang of it, may even do a stream on that, because that's something we don't normally see a lot of. If that's okay, if we, or I could save that for doing one of those shorts that I was talking about doing, you know, how to do blending, glazing, whatever, how to do epoxy resin bases. Just trying to get this hose in here without getting all over the areas we've already painted up, right? Mess those up. Probably switch to a smaller brush here in a second. Once we get these hoses and stuff painted in, we'll probably go and do the little knee pads next. Because those will be painted this Dark Reaper color, and then I'll do an gold around the trim work on them. So that also gives us another pop of color on here as well. This little area of the hose did not get that matte coat very well. So it is still slippery. We'll probably have to take a few coats to get it down. We'll see. Get down in there a little bit. There we go. Boy, these hoses are so convoluted. I mean, they look great, but dang gum, they're a pain to get to. Might be best to just thin it down and kind of let it run around the hose. Probably gonna be the best bet. Especially on the bottom where it's already dark thanks to the zenithal. Raven Art Minis. Holy cow, coming in with the raid. Thank you so much for that, man. How are you guys doing? You and the fam, how are you? Welcome in, Raiders. My name is Haunted. We're painting a little Calypso dude. You're all good. That's great. Great to hear, man. I appreciate that so much. So what did you work on today, sir? Was doing your first bus today? Really? Well, dang, I hate I missed that. I had to go back and watch the VOD. Doing NMM on this. I mean, it's not. It's going to have just a little bit, mainly like on the trim plates for the kneecaps and stuff. Will be gold and non-metallic metal, and we'll have kind of that a metallic look to everything else, but mostly just going to be the trim on these little kneecaps. Make metallics look great, which is why we keep them robots. Yeah, I got to get back to the big stompy boy eventually. Get back to old Hoffman. But you know that painter's ADD, right? You know, you know what I'm talking about. Get all distracted by some new shinies and have to come back to the old shinies. We'll get back to Hoffman soon. Yeah, also, you can go ahead and share my Discord. I'll look at it later as well, Raven. Or if you post it in Warlanders, I'll see it there too. Oh, there's another wire there. Did not see that one. Okay. It's going to be hard to get to here. Oh, nice. A little bit of an orc guy. Very nice. Hey, I tell you something I did, Raven. This was a kind of new thing. I don't have her handy. She's on another shelf. But I was doing a green dress, like a dark green dress on a Curio, which is a totem for Karai. It was a repaint I was doing because the other one was just horrible looking. But I wasn't, going to spend a whole lot of time on her. But I thought, what am I going to do for recess shading? What am I going to do for that shadow on her? And I have Chimera colors, and I've been using a lot of violet lately, right? And it's a very dark blue purple, really nice, rich color. And I use that in the recesses, and oh my God, it's beautiful. It's definitely something you want to try in the future if you haven't already. Give a dark violet a try on a green. Something green in the near future. You'll like it. Oh, okay, okay. Well, cool. You're on the right track then. Well, I don't know if it's the right track, but it worked for me. That's funny. Yeah, grapevines do think alike, right? So few are open to that experience with me. I start opening my mind up and people are like, oh God, no, 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 put it away, put it away. I think cover it pretty well. Oh, a little bit in there if I can get to it. There we go. Hey Stig, how are you doing? Yeah, I haven't been doing my personal streams very much. I have to take off time to do these, so instead of weekends now, I'm doing these streams for the most part. How are you doing, Stig? Hanging in there, get this crud done at work at a reasonable hour. I'll turn the camera on tonight, make a fool of myself with airbrush. There you go. There you go. Well, my plans for the evening have been shot down, so I will be more than happy to tune in, Stig. So it's always just after 7 p.m. Eastern. How much overspray area do you leave when laying out paper towels? I'll be honest. 90% of my airbrush work takes place underneath my desk. I don't even spray on my desk because of fear of overspray. So most of the time I'm actually spraying under my desk. I have a light directly underneath the lip of my desk and I'll flip it on a spray toward the floor. So I don't know how that's going to help you. Generally what I would do, I have a little sheet of paper here. It's 8.5 by 11. I'll put a piece of paper like right up here and kind of lean it back and maybe one off to this side to the right because I'm usually spraying this direction, right? So I'm spraying across. So I'll put one on the right hand side to keep spray from going off that way, and that's usually it. I don't worry about the other side too much. One of the things I use for masking, which I'm sure you've seen some people doing, is silly putty, which it conforms to just about any surface. It doesn't harm your paint. Really easy to get on and off. And it's reusable over and over again. So that's what I use to mask this model off too. So in case that was your next question. Just priming tonight, but good enough. Okay, yeah. Now priming, you may get a little messier with, so I might honestly, I would probably just clear your desk off. Okay. if you're going to be priming, because you're going to be wanting to get in all the nooks and crannies, and you'll be turning that airbrush 10 different ways to Sunday to get around everything. So yeah, just take everything off your desk. Beyond that, you don't have to worry too much. Now, I will tell you, if you do a lot of airbrushing, priming, it's going to get into your ventilation system. Just be aware of that. And once it does, it's basically there forever. Unless you have one of those modern day chimney sweeps, the ventilation duct cleaners come out there and clean your ventilation ducts. Which means eventually, as you spray more and more, you're going to get these different colors. So basically everything in my house is covered by this fine layer of reddish, purplish, black dust. And it's not dust, it's airbrush particles, paint particles from airbrushing so much. And it gets into the ducts, and like I said, it gets blown around by the AC or the heat or whatever, and you can go ahead and dust, and it goes right back into the air, gets caught back up, and it's a never-ending cycle. Gives me ideas to have plenty of wasted under desk space, and about a foot per side gives a sense of space I need. Nice. Yeah, I'd like to get a vented box eventually. Yeah. Oh, you have no forced air. Okay. Yeah, I was going to suggest if you can, ventilation to the outside is best, of course, right? Oops, I got a little black out of the, went where I didn't want it. Good thing is I have 2 coats of clear down, one gloss, one matte. I might be able to just erase it without causing any problems. But anyways, if you can vent outside, it's great. But unfortunately, my basement is enclosed on all sides where I paint, so I just have to put up with it. And of course, the intake vent for the AC heating system is in this room, so anytime I spray, it gets sucked into it and then redistributed around the rest of the house. If I didn't mind spraying on the garage, that would be, or setting up on the garage, that wouldn't be bad, but that's not climate controlled. So I have my printer out there, my 3D printers. That doesn't affect them too much. I mean, the cold will, but I've got a heater in the box, so it won't hurt it. All right, Raven, have a great night. Thank you for you and your family coming by and bringing the Raiders. I do appreciate it. We will see you tomorrow or the day after. Actually, the day after, because I'll be streaming again here tomorrow. Have a great night, Raven. Okay. See if we can get rid of that little bit of that little boo-boo there. Looky there. Almost erased. Okay, so we got our hoses blocked in. Let's go back and put another coat on this this black red up here. I think what happened, that black red needs a good shake. It's really settled. So I'm gonna have to get it in my little redneck paint shaker, which is basically a jigsaw. Probably off screen. Sorry about that, guys. Have any of you guys been watching Only Murders in the Building? It's on Hulu. It has Steve Martin and Martin Short in it. Selena Gomez. Really good show. Had an episode last night, or not last night, but it was a couple nights ago, but only watched it last night. The most recent episode. Gotcha. Try that with those vibrating multi-tool things, aka power tricep, corner cat sander. It didn't work well. Well, mine works fine. I'll show you my little tool. I got a mini quick grip, right? And just a zip tied. You can see the zip ties here and here, and electrical taped around it just to have doubly sure. The handle to my jigsaw blade. I have a Bosch or Bosch, however you say it, jigsaw, and I'll pop that in there, and then pop my paint in here and tighten it up, and it goes just fine with it. The worst part is, I'm down one mini clamp because of that, but it works. I think I'm going to eventually, in the next couple weeks, buy a real sander, or a real shaker, not real sander, a real shaker. Just because it gets tiring sitting there plugging those things in. I'd much rather just kind of set one on, let it buzz, set one on, let it buzz, and not have to sit there and do the changing out system. Got one of those vortex mixers. It works really well. Nice. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting. I don't think I'm going to get the InLab because they're, God, $100. I think I'm just going to get the little cheapy $50 one. I can't think of the name, but I think that's what I'm going to get. Those real ones are rather spendy. Yeah, no doubt. Exactly. I mean, most of my paints are thin. Like all my GW paints and stuff, I've already pre-thinned them anyway, so it's just a matter of getting them shook. But they need to be shook like all the time. They settle instantly, pretty much, because they are so thin. Spent $60 on yours. Okay, all right, that may be the one I'm thinking of. Then I was just When you said Vortex, I was thinking that, you know, Scientific Lab one that was like $100 plus. And I was like, no. But yeah, definitely send me the link. I'll pick one up. Especially the 50 or $60 is what I was looking for anyway. So that will work out nicely. Go away, Nat. I'm trying to paint, dude. Oh, I'm thinking one for the beakers. This is a little dinky test too. Yeah, okay. That's it. That's the difference. I didn't really know there was a size difference between them going on. Would you please? I just want to take a look. This is my black red I'm used to using. And you see how much darker it is than this black red? They may have changed their formula. There's a definite difference between these two. Could be the bottle's different too. Maybe it's a whiter plastic, but it does not look the same on the palette either. And that's a shame because I've used black red so long. I use it in so many recipes. Finding a replacement is going to be quite a pain. Okay, let's get some Dark Reaper down. If I can find it. Dark Reaper, where did you go? Where did you go? There you are. It conveniently fits the dropper tip of most bottle caps very nicely. Yeah, that makes sense. We'll definitely give that a shot for sure. Like I said, I was looking to spend about 50 or 60 bucks on it tops. I didn't want to spend any more. I mean, basically, if I spend 50 or $60 is what I'd spend on another jigsaw. Because basically, right now I'm using my good jigsaw for my shaker, which means I have to take it out of commission to do my paints, and then drag it out of the wood shop to do the paints, and then drag it back to the wood shop when I'm done. And it's just like, I'd have to go buy another jigsaw. May as well spend 50 or 60 bucks on an actual paint shaker, right? So that makes sense to me. Currently $53 with free shipping. Yes, please. Sounds very nice. Bottle on the right does look cloudier. Maybe it won't affect the palette. Like I said, it could be a bad batch. It could be just it's not shaking well enough. It could be they have changed the formulation. It could be any number of things. Until I get it on a shaker, though, I won't know. But it's definitely a different shade, a different value than the previous batch. It's like I said, it's a really dark, almost brick red, and this is not quite there. It's more on the pinky orange side. So we're just getting these little kneecaps painted in here. So we'll come in with some metallic gold trim. Dear God, that is the 8th telemarketer today. I am so tired of those jerks. So coincidental too, because I had to put my phone number down to check on the status of a shipping. I'm shipping on a package from the UK, and they're like, "Don't worry, we won't share your number." And today, lo and behold, 7 telemarketers in a row, and then now the 8th. I'm like, yeah, you didn't share my number. I thank you. And the stinking ball isn't rusting within 90 days. I'm flat out amazed, dude. That is really good. Whatever they use, we should have used in the metal for the cell plant when we were doing that seaside prison, because we used glass beaded stainless steel for it, because it was going to be on a coastline, which meant it was going to be subjected to lots of corrosive oxidizing air, and so they went with the glass beaded stainless steel for extra protection. But all they needed was whatever the hell that ball is made out of. High class, high quality. I think we're going to have to do some secondary coats on these guys. Some of these kneecaps are a little thin. Okay, where's my dark root? There it is. Material sheets I found from one manufacturer. There has to be 316 or 317. Nice. I don't actually remember the numbering system for it. Like I said, I remember glass beaded stainless steel was the most corrosion resistant that we had. Basically was a sheet of glass pretty much bonded to the metal, which was kind of funny because I always expected, okay, if we got glass on this thing and we're cutting it with a 140, 200 ton shear, how does the glass not shatter? But it never did. I don't know how it worked. Maybe it wasn't glass, but actual plexiglass. I don't know. Well, it wouldn't hold up to welding then. So I don't know what the stuff was, but it had this really pretty, almost like pearlescent look to it. It was super smooth. Okay, that was not dry. That was not dry. We're going to have to wait for some of these guys to dry. Meanwhile, I've got another hair. Where do these hairs keep coming from? Grr. Grr. Okay. Okay, so what color should those cables be? Black would be easiest, obviously. But that just doesn't seem fair, does it? Maybe we can do the... Oops, we did not finish coloring in up there. Maybe we can do the easy to reach one red and do the other one, leave it black. Just good old red-black combo. That might be what we do. Because one on the inside is going to be really hard to get to and separate. Let me leave it at black. This one should be pretty easy to paint red. It's right kind of out there in the open for everybody to see. Here we go. Loki's that they can't be rewarded for being really good and not relieve himself. It's depressed he's gone or loving every moment's peace. Nice. Pets and not tiny humans. Who knows? Nah, it's his doggos, his fur kids. They are cute together though. Even if he drives her nuts. Okay. So, quick question. Do you guys want to see me do some edging, or do you want to see me do the non-metallic gold around these kneecaps? Because if you want to see non-metallic gold, I'm going to have to go do my clean up my palette before I start, because it is absolutely covered from one end to the other. So let me know what y'all want to see. Oh, do you? Well, I know what your vote is. But yeah, you can have a vote. Like I said, you'll just have to give me a break so I can go rinse my palette off if you vote the way I think you will. Okay, I'll secretly record your vote, but I don't think anybody else is voting on it. So yeah, you're easy to pick on that one. And I'm probably going to be redoing Hoffman's metal, the metal that we did do. I think I want to start trying to do that kind of blue chrome look. We may only do it on a few places rather than the whole thing, but I definitely want to start trying to do that, working on that a little bit. Because up to now, I've basically been using either grays and blacks or the browns and the yellows to do gold. So I'm going to try doing that kind of bluey gray silver kind of look, or bluey gray silver chrome look. Loki is a Husky, Athena is German Shepherd. Yeah. He earned his name. Yeah, it definitely sounds like that one did. You're voting on just continuing to paint and edge, or to do the non-metallic gold around these little knee pads, because we can start on doing that to give them some separation, or we can just continue working on pieces as we go like we have been. You do and Troy watch me do NMM. Okay. Well, that's technically 2. So I guess we'll do that once I get this little red cut in. I'm guessing everybody that came over with Raven Hearts, with the exception of Stiggs, is in bed, because they must all vacated pretty quickly. It's just, it's 10 over there. Keep forgetting about that time difference. A little bit here. Okay, so yeah, we got black and red now there for the wires. All right. So Kim, if you could give me a quick break, I will run to clean off my palette, and we can come back and start on some tiny little bits of non-metallic gold. So just whenever you can throw up the BRB screen. little break. I just had to go get my palette cleaned up so we can work on some non-metallic metal. You like the background music? Yeah, it's pretty good, Amish Dig. I dig it. It's got a nice little vibe to it. Turns out the folks at Wyrd have some decent taste in music. Kyle, who was the big brains behind Vagrant Song, he put together a playlist that kind of tied into the theme, you know, with the vagrants and the ghost and the train to hell and stuff like that. And it's got this really cool vibe to it. And I've played it while playing the game. It's perfect. It's not actually a train to hell, but you know what I mean. It's a spooky train. A spooky train. But if you haven't gone and bought that game, go buy it. Just go buy it. You'll like it. The great thing is it works with solo or 4 people. Actually, I think you can play it with 6, but 4 is generally best, I think. But you can do solo play with it as well. Okay, so we're going to do some non-metallic metal. Gold around. I mean, we're kind of doing non-metallic metal on all of it, right? We've got flats that are used to represent shiny metal. Like this is meant to be more shiny metal than just a flat surface. So it is kind of non-metallic metal all over, but it's not like your typical non-metallic metal. So first things first, we'll put down some Rhinox hide, and then we're going to mix a little bit of that with some English uniform. This is probably one of my all-time favorite colors. I use it for so much. We'll mix a little of that English uniform with some Japanese uniform. And this will give us our colors for our non-metallic metal. And then just a wee bit of ice yellow. Without it flying out of the bottle, will be in good shape. Okay, so if you guys want to see what the palette looks like, this is how it's set up. Rhinox and English by itself, 2 drops English, 1 drop of Japanese, 1 English, 1 Japanese, and ice yellow, and then ice yellow by itself. That will be the recipe. Okay. I hated dumping all the pretty blues that I was using on Shakuna's base, but we had to have the space. Had to have the space. It's funny that I like painting blues because I have painted so many Thousand Sun and Space Marine models, like just so many of them. So it's amazing that I actually like painting blue, but I still do. But yeah. And Jakuna's all is, basically all water. So lots of blues to paint there. just leave a bit more of that in there as well. Okay, just about ready. And I've said that about 10 times, but there we go. Now we got my mixtures. Sorry. Okay. So first things first, we're going to cut in those knee pad edges. Right, we'll do that with, we're not going to do the brown on the bottom side because it's a really narrow shelf, but we are going to cut it in up here around these bigger portions. We have a little bit more area to work with and blend with there. Okay, so this is just a Rhinox hide that we're doing right now. We don't have much room on this one. That's okay. We'll cut a little bit of it in. And that one, man, can't really get to it, so we're just going to knock it in with this brown. We'll paint the edges up as we go. Yeah, that was really hard to get to there. We are truly painting by the force here, guys. And I still didn't quite get it. I don't think we can see it well enough from the other side. I mean, you literally have to get a magnifying glass in there or a mirror to see around the edge there, so we're not going to worry about it too much. Same with this one. Unless I see it from underneath. Okay, I do see it from underneath a little bit. What is that? Is that? It's silly putty. Good Lord. Silly putty with varnish on it. So that made my life easier. Okay. And then that's not it. This one. Okay. That in there. And again, here, cutting around those corners. We don't want to get on the white metal portion. Okay. All right, so now that we got that in, we'll start blending our other colors. So the next color is going to be that English Uniform and Rhinox mix. Just go ahead and paint that all the way around. Now, if you want, what we can do is once we get this line cut in, we can come back in around it on the inside edge with either a little bit of black or a little bit of that Rhinox hide, just to further separate it from this blue. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of black and do it. We're not going to use the multi-black. We're just going to use plain black. But we'll have to be relatively careful with this because, you know, being acrylic, this will have a staining property on the other acrylics. So keep it relatively thin. Try and keep it controlled. And then just cut it in. Like that. See how that kind of separates it now? Okay. I did get a little out of hand there. We do have some blue we can correct that with. Not a problem. But you do see it gives it a nice separation now from the blue. Because there's not much of a lip there. It's very, very shy, that lip. All right, so we're going to go down to English Uniform mix now. And cover most of what we just did with the previous mixture. Not all of it, but most of it. Halfway down there. And again, we're going to come down to the corner and about halfway down. Also do a little bit of at the very bottom as well. Because we want it to have a little bit of a reflection, but it doesn't need to be super bright here. So you see we've almost covered it fully, but not quite. We're going to come back in with our previous mixture, the Rhinox and English Uniform mix. Just kind of blend those two together a little bit. Back in with a little Rhinox. Go. Now we're going to go to the English Uniform and Japanese uniform mix here. Kind of jumping up one notch. Not quite going all the way down. We did. Starting to get a Stormwind vibe off this guy, like that blue and the gold. My wow roots are coming through. Down here at the bottom. And we'll go to a very almost, what's the final highlight here? Just thought I'd go ahead and show it on one rather than trying to do steps across all of them. It makes more sense to see it all together on one. So we did our base coat and then came in and finished this one. And now you'll know what each of them do. I'll come in and put a little bit right here on that. Right. And then we're going to go to our next lightest. And finally, we'll go to ice yellow. This will just basically be right at the tip top and corner. Like that. And there you go. That's a little non-metallic metal gold there for you. It's hard to tell in the picture. It doesn't really show up too good. It looks good on this end, but not so much on camera end. So we'll just start working on our next one. All right, and we're just getting these highlights done on the top edge. This one is a little more visible, so I have to be a little bit more careful with that. By careful, I mean not doing what I just did and obliterating what I just did prior. Oh my goodness, are we getting close to the end? We are getting close to the end. Wow. Well, guys, it has been a lot of fun. Kim there has posted my social media links. It includes my Facebook and my Instagram, my YouTube, and my Twitch. So if you would, please drop me a follow. Drop us a follow if you haven't already. Follows are free. Yeah, time flies. Yeah, I will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. as well. And we'll be finished. Well, we'll be working on this guy. I don't know if we'll be finishing up. We'll be working on him tomorrow. And like I said, I do appreciate you guys hanging out. And we're just going to try and get a few more details here before 6. And yeah, it's been fun. It did go quick. Okay, that is a little too much there. Back that down a wee bit. For sure. So yeah, any questions from the class before we leave today? I'm gonna come in and correct a little bit here. We overshot when we were doing those little bits of gold on the end. It's not a big deal though. Okie dokie. This is the English uniform. I'm going to trim on the outside here quick, and then we'll do what we did before. We'll come in and black line it. And then we'll trim this out like we did the other. Now, we probably won't get as bright on this one because as you see, that leg kind of tucks up underneath. Oops. That leg tucks underneath. And we'll won't see all of it thanks to the shadows. All right, so we're down to 5 minutes. See if we can knock this knee pad out in that length of time. With waiting on paint to dry, probably not. But we're gonna try. I like this little bit of color on here. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot. It just has to give it a little, break up some of that gray, that blue gray. I mean, you don't expect a submersible to be like super colorful, right? But you know, you want a little bit of color, right? So this makes me happy seeing a little bit here. Okay, so let's get our black line in there real quick. We're down to 4 minutes. Ooh, can we do it? Can we do it? I don't know. That's going to be pretty tough. Okay, one more. Okay, we got our line cut in. See if we can do it. Three minutes. 3 minutes. So we won't be doing much down here. So that's a very big possibility we can get it done. All right. While I'm rushing to get this last little bit done, if you haven't already followed my social medias with that Willow link, I would appreciate it, as well as a follow here. Yeah. Oh, we're so close. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Can we do it? Can we do it? Okay. We're almost there, guys. Almost there. And that concludes the piece. We did it. Yay. With 1 whole minute to spare. So there we go. We got 2 of those non-metallic metal pads put together. Like I said, the camera's not really doing them a whole lot of justice today. But when we get some more progress done, we'll take some pictures and post them on the website and it'll look better, I promise. But anyways, thanks guys for hanging out with me. Again, I will be back tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern or 3:15 p.m. Eastern if you want to hear the music. So yeah, thanks so much and we'll see you later. Till then, hobby on.